Chapter 28, Section 2 continued. The situation in Europe was worsening. You already had a horrific war devastate Europe, but then like in 46, 47, you had extremely harsh winter. And some Americans start thinking that maybe the U.S. needs to help Europe. Otherwise, those Western European nations would become too weak to resist that communist influence. This belief is going to be shared by the Secretary of State, George Marshall. In 1947, he gives a speech to Harvard, during which he warns about the possible collapse of Europe and talks about how he wants major U.S. help for Europe. Truman is going to go on and ask Congress for $17 billion to help aid Europe. This is going to be a very hotly debated topic. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money today, let alone in the 1940s. But in 48, there's going to be a turning point. Something's going to occur that's going to turn the vote around a little bit here. Pro-Soviet communists took over Czechoslovakia. It looks like the fear has become a reality as communists have taken over another country in Europe. Congress in April 1948 funds the European Recovery Plan, which more commonly is referred to as the Marshall Plan, as it was his idea. And actually, Marshall wins the Nobel Peace Prize in 1953 for this plan and helping out struggling Europe. Originally, the Marshall Plan was intended for all European countries. Anybody who needed assistance could take it. But as you look at the map here, you start noticing a pattern. The Soviet Union refused to participate. The Soviets said, the U.S. is just trying to buy its way in Europe. And the Soviet Union is going to make sure that those Eastern European countries, under their influence, won't take any of that money either. A prime place to look at some of the effects of the Marshall Plan was in Germany. The non-Soviet part of Germany was growing stronger, being rebuilt by Britain and France and us. And we all announced plans in June of 48 to combine our zones, to form one West German government. The Soviets hate that idea, probably feeling ganged up on a little bit here. The Soviets respond on June 24th of 1948 by blocking all roads, canals, railroads, anything connecting West Berlin to West Germany. Because West Berlin was inside East Germany. And they cut it off. This means food, fuel, other supplies, they can't reach West Berlin. So you have 2.5 million people that have enough to last 45 days. What the Soviets are trying to accomplish here is they want the West out of Berlin. The Western powers aren't going to give in to this. They can block the roads, they can block the railroads, they can block the canals. The West is going to use the air. The Western powers are going to use what was known as the Berlin Airlift. And it's going to last for 10 months. Going to fly in 2 million tons of food and supplies. 270,000 flights. At the peak time, you had a plane landing in West Berlin every 4 minutes. So the Soviet idea here of a blockade it was an embarrassing failure. And in May of 49, they lift the blockade. But you have the divide drawn now. And you're going to have the formation of the Federal Republic of Germany, more commonly called West Germany. Soviets form the German Democratic Republic, commonly called East Germany. This divide is going to last for over 40 years. What should have been a temporary divide to rebuild Germany and put it back together lasts for over 40 years. You're going to start to see a shift in focus in Europe from economic recovery to military security. In April of 49, 9 Western European nations are going to join the United States, Canada, and Iceland in a military alliance. And it's going to become known as NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's an alliance. Each member pledged to defend each other if attacked. Dwight D. Eisenhower is going to become the supreme commander of NATO in 1951. If we're going to rely on these other countries to help defend us, we better make sure they're strong. So we're going to start giving military aid to our allies. And in return, we're going to have troops stationed in Europe, even to today. As we all create NATO, the Soviet Union respond by creating the Warsaw Pact in 1955. It's going to be a military alliance between the Soviet Union and other communist countries in Eastern Europe. And now you're going to sit there and have that showdown between the Soviet nations and Western